Welcome back to the Coach Business School podcast. My name is Andy Ramage, the founder of the Coach Business School. I'll be your coach, your trainer, your guide in today's conversation about the 7 life-changing reasons to become a coach. And there are many more than 7. I'm just going to highlight 7 for you. And this is a great reminder for you, whether you are currently a coach or thinking about becoming a coach in those early stages, or you've been coaching for the last 1,000 years. Sometimes it's nice to remind yourself as to why you got into this in the first place. So wherever you sit on that spectrum of coaching, this conversation is for you. Before we begin, just a note to our sponsors, the coachbusiness.school. If you want to become an accredited coach and come with me on that learning journey, because I do the bulk of all of our delivery at the Coach Business School. That's what makes us completely unique. You get to train with someone with over a decade of real lived experience of coaching and success in terms of many different types of coaching initiatives. Go to coachbusiness.school. We have a 6-month diploma in coaching and positive psychology, and positive psychology being the science of self-help, the biggest door opener in coaching right now. That's why it's a bedrock of our diploma courses. And if you're already a qualified coach, come and join me on our Coach MBA. This is all about marketing and business for coaches. Again, where you work almost exclusively with me to help you create the coaching business of your dreams. Again, go to coachbusiness.school. Okay. So the 7 life-changing benefits to becoming a coach. Number 1, and this is number 1 for me personally, freedom. Freedom is so important to us as humans. The ability to decide your day. And again, this is that point where maybe you're in a position to become a full-time coach, but at that point, you get the freedom to decide your day. No one else. You have total freedom. You can go and travel. You can holiday, you're in charge of your diary. It is an absolute gift. It's something I've craved all of my life in many ways and throughout my careers. And it wasn't until I finally stepped full-time into the world of coaching and initiatives around coaching that actually I gained that true sense of freedom, that I get to dictate my day every day. What a joy, what a gift. And there's something psychologically really powerful about that sense of autonomy, right? It's a sense of autonomy, that sense of control over one's life. Because what we know through some brilliant research, the Marmont studies from the 1960s, or the Whitehall studies, as they were known, really the autonomy is important to us psychologically and physiologically. So the Whitehall studies effectively took a group of civil servants, winding the clock back, in the 1960s, 70s. And really the thesis as to why they set out this study was that they assumed that those in the highest rankings of the civil service would be the most stressed and therefore suffer the most disease, heart disease, for example. So they brought in Michael Marmont to do these incredible studies, of which they did. And the reason they liked the civil service was because everyone was pretty much in a job that was a safe career. So they had the basics, the fundamentals of life covered off. But there was this clear, stepping stone in terms of bands of where people worked, from those that were in, the sorting office to those that were running the whole department. Again, with the assumption, the higher you went up that ladder, effectively, the more stress people would have, the more they would suffer. Marmont did his studies, and it changed the way we view psychology. The results flipped the script completely on its head. What they actually found was that those that were at those lower ranking bands in the civil service were the ones that were suffering the most from disease, such as heart disease, like stress-style diseases. And actually those at the top were suffering the least. So it confounded their original thinking. Now, why was that, you might ask? Because what they concluded, it all had to do with autonomy, or that sense of freedom, that sense of control over one's life. And it was this: those at the top of the bands had the most control. They could make a decision and action that decision, for example. Whereas those at the bottom bands in the sorting office just had to do what they were told. They would say things like, my job's a slog. There is no movement, wiggle room, freedom. I am almost like a robot. I do what I'm told to do. And because they were lacking autonomy, not only were they suffering more disease, people were dying younger. There's a clear, and this has been replicated across loads of different ways and studies, but essentially that that loss of autonomy, that lack of control, that lack of freedom really impacts us physically and mentally. Therefore, for me, going out on this adventure, when I stepped into coaching, it was really important to build that sense of autonomy into my life. And by the way, if you are in a career at the moment that you can't get out of, that you feel stuck in, really start to look for ways to build autonomy around the edges. Again, a coaching career is a brilliant way to do that because you get a sense of freedom outside the day job, that you're progressing and moving towards something. That's why goals are so important. So you've got control over how you develop yourself. No one can take that away from you. Really important. But net, the end result might be that you have total freedom, total autonomy, total control. And I think that's why we see so many coaches start to flourish and thrive in many ways, because they're psychologically and physiologically being optimal. They've gone from feeling stuck to feeling free. Game changer. All right, next one, meaning. We are meaning-seeking creatures. That's what life's all about, right? And I would argue lots of people are stuck in careers, lacking autonomy, and also many people are struggling for meaning and purpose and direction. We live in quite a secular, non-religious world currently, where those old, let's just say, organised religious guidelines, rail guards towards meaning and purpose that were very prevalent in our lives 100 years ago, 50 years ago, have now in many people's lives just gone. So it's for us to create this path to meaning and purpose. And I think most people are a bit lost as to how to do that. And I've been on this very quest myself for many, many years and looked at the great literatures, and you see the same thing over and over again. Meaning and purpose very often comes in service of others. It's part of my move into coaching. It's a wonderful vehicle to give you the ability to contribute, to give back, to feel like you matter, to add value to someone's life. That very often is where meaning and purpose lives. And you can't get to meaning and purpose with a flip chart and a red pen and figure it out. I think that's very difficult to do. You get there through momentum. And again, coaching builds momentum in your life, and through the twists and turns of coaching, you might find, as I did, you stumble into your meaning and your purpose that you could never have predicted. But the momentum of coaching took you there because you found a space and a place, and I work with all our coaches on this, that you most wanted to serve. You wanted to give back. You wanted to help that demographic of people overcome a particular challenge. And in doing so, it lights you up with a sense of joy, meaning and purpose. You feel alive. You feel like you're doing work that matters. What a gift. What an absolute gift. Like, step back from that from a moment. Autonomy and meaning, potentially, through coaching. What other professions come almost fully baked with such incredible, mind-blowing reasons to step into becoming a coach? Number 3, self-development. Has to be about self-development. We never stop growing, developing. Too many adults just switch it off. As soon as they think they know enough, that's it. Stop developing, stop learning, stop reading. They keep the same beliefs, read the same papers, listen to the same news, and life starts to shrink, and they get really rigid in who they are and their thinking, and then they can't take risks, because to take risks might mean that they fail or lose, so they just play it safe, physically, mentally shrink. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. It's the opposite. All the coaches that I train, the first thing we talk about is growth mindset. Everything is learning. No such thing as failure. You've got to go and collide with life, get things wrong to get it right. That's what this is about, this learning adventure, growth, development, like leveling up. You don't want to be the same person that you was a year ago, or you were a year ago, or 10 years ago. You want to develop and grow. That's what life's about, isn't it? Become more resilient, more courageous, spark joy through the challenges that you collide with life. What a gift. So for me, one of the great things about coaching is that you are continually then learning skills to help others improve their lives. So net, when you live the learning, big mantra of mine for my coaches, when you live the learning, you're constantly developing yourself. And then the challenges of creating a coaching business is developing yourself. The challenges of finding new clients, dealing with new situations is developing yourself. So you're constantly growing through this process of becoming a coach. And here's another thing about coaching that's not in the reasons. You can do it forever. And I really mean that. You can do it for the entirety of your life. Show me another career that you can do that with. Outside of, and I found him recently, Sir David Attenborough. To be fair, we've got to give him a little round of applause. He's still rocking it in a big way as he approaches 100. Gone, Sir David. But outside of that, so unless you want to go and be a nature program, presenter, coaching's the other way to get there, right? There's no reason, and I know people in their 90s still coaching and adding value. Game changer. 4, contribution. Contribution, again, linked to meaning, linked to self-development, but we want to add value, don't we, right? Let's just step back for a moment and pause and think about a human existence. As I do this type of reflection all the time, why are we here? It's a big question, isn't it, for this podcast? But why are we not asking ourselves those questions more often? Why are we here? What is the point of all of this? And I ask these questions a lot, right? And they're very difficult to answer. But for me, there has to be something around contribution. There has to be something around our short and precious life to give something back, to try and leave this planet, this world in a slightly better shape than how we left it, to pass something of real worth on to future generations. For me, it's not about take, get a job, retire, go on a couple of holidays and die. And again, I appreciate everyone else's beliefs that are different. That's just my belief, that life is not just about that. For me, it just can't be. There's got to be more to it than that. And I believe that's really wrapped up in contribution. Like, what are you going to do to make a difference? How can you get behind a commitment, a cause? How can you make your communities better, your countries better, lives better? What a better way to do that than coaching? It's an absolute brilliant vehicle into all of those things. Because another thing that's important to note about coaching is that it's the springboard to good in the world, in my opinion. So a lot of the coaching initiatives that I've created, or I've helped people create, have got little to do with traditional one-to-one coaching. So I want to broaden your mind much bigger than that. But it was the foundation of one-to-one coaching that got them in the room, got them thinking differently, and then they started an app. Or they started a podcast that was their thing. So it was doing no one-to-one coaching, just actually a podcast that was doing good in the world. Starting a group, a community, a challenge, writing a book, whatever it might be. Many of these things, although they're not directly linked to that one-to-one traditional coaching, they are all indirectly linked to that foundational skill of learning to become a coach. And in doing so, all of those things are doing good in the world. They're contributing. They're leaving some form of legacy to make the world a little bit better in your trail, rather than we just take, go on holiday, take, die. Game changer. And coaching gives us this wonderful opportunity to do that. Number 5, income with integrity. I believe that actually what we do is so incredibly valuable, and I'm a big believer that should be rewarded economically. Of course it should be. You know, when you look at it, the world is a bit skewed wrong, isn't it? Many of the professions that add absolutely no value to anyone's life get paid the most. And then think about our frontline workers, get paid the least. You'd argue they have got something so important to contribute to our world, to our lives, and they actually get paid the least. And coaching, for me, can fall into that sort of place of service and contribution and meaning and purpose. And we can slip into that notion of all of this should be free or lower priced or giveaway. I actually don't believe that to be true at all. I think when we've got something that can be life-changing for so many people, you can really generate significant income with real integrity. Like, why not use your life force to do good and make that your job and get well paid to do that, as opposed to use your life force and energy in a business that doesn't fill you up with meaning, that you feel stuck in, that you don't have much autonomy in, and actually it's not adding much value to the broader world. I would argue most professions feel and look a little bit like that, versus coaching, when you know everything you do is contributing, making a difference. Why not point all of your life force and energy and skills into that to make a difference for people's lives and get well paid for it? Because of course you should get well paid for it to be able to do that. That's a lot of the work that I do on my Coach MBA. So if you are already an accredited coach, you can come and train with me on my Coach MBA, which is all about business and marketing, really making sure that you get the income you deserve with integrity, that's meaning-led and purpose-driven, and go and make a difference and be successful at that. What a gift. And then you've got the income to do it full-time. And the more you can do it, the more people you can help. Really straightforward. All right, so number 6, lifestyle. Lifestyle is everything. You know, a recent quote that I heard is, the truest form of intelligence is to design a life you truly want to lead. There's a lot of smart people that are unhappy, right? So something's going wrong. And I think coaching gives us the opportunity to design a lifestyle that we want to lead. And maybe that includes the time to exercise, to nourish your body, the time to be with loved ones, the most important thing, to connect, to contribute, to read, to skill up, to develop, to share. That's a lifestyle that I want to lead. A lifestyle that makes me feel alive. What a gift. What a gift from coaching. That it allows us to design the lifestyle that we truly wish to lead. That is the truest form of intelligence. Finally, leverage. Coaching is just leverage in every domain of our life. It's leverage to make you more skilled and understanding of your own beautiful brain so that you can show up in your family networks more radiantly, more joyfully, contribute more, add value to your loved ones, to your broader family networks. What a gift. It's the same set of skills that will help you take your existing career to a whole new level as you understand your brain and how other people's brains work. You become so much better at an existing career. It gives you the momentum and the courage and the confidence to go and contribute more. And that might be that you're actually becoming a better boss of your employees, or a better manager of a team, or a better leader, a thought leader, a big thinker. Whatever your setup is, you get better at all of those things. And of course, you then have this ability to coach part-time or full-time. So you can leverage every single skill that you get from coaching to make every single arena of your life, whether you are coaching part-time, full-time or not, to be better. That for me is one of the ultimate gifts of coaching. The leverage that it gives you to be better in every single domain of your life. So there is just 7. I'll leave it there. 7 life-changing reasons to become a coach in 2026. And if you want to find out more and come and train with me, because that's how we set it up. If you go to the coachbusiness.school, you will train with me. We don't have a bazillion. We don't train a million people and just, churn and burn. It's small. It's niche. It's boutique, because we want to be the home of the most successful coaches, because you get to learn from someone that's really doing this, that loves it, that is successful, that understands the business side of it as well as the coaching side of it. And if you want to come and join me, we have a diploma coming up very soon, at the start of the year in January. So it's right on now if you want to come and join. If you go to coachbusiness.school, you'll find out all the details. And if you're already an accredited coach, please do come and join us on the Coach MBA, which is all about business and marketing. Until next time, keep coaching. Your coach, Andy. Let's do this.